After 50. The killer. Foods that cause blood clots and lead to serious complications. He did not wake up that morning feeling that something bad was about to happen. No headache. No dizziness. No warning signs at all. It was just an ordinary morning. He sat up and placed his feet on the floor, just as he had done thousands of times before. He stood up to make coffee. And then, in that moment, his right leg could no longer hold his balance. The cup slipped from his hand. It shattered on the kitchen floor. He tried to call for his wife, but no words came out. Later, the doctors said it was a stroke caused by a blood clot. But at that moment, the only thing he felt was that his body had suddenly betrayed him. I want to tell you about that man. His name was Robert. Robert was 68 years old. He lived in the state of Ohio. He had spent more than 30 years working as a manager at a machine shop. He had 2 grown children and a granddaughter he was deeply proud of. Robert never thought of himself as weak. Every morning, he walked his dog around the neighborhood. On weekends, he took care of the garden behind his house. He was always present at family gatherings. In his mind, illness happened to other people. People who did not take care of themselves. People who lived without restraint. Not him. In the evenings, after dinner, Robert often opened a can of beer. Sometimes 2. Not to get drunk. Just to relax. To feel that the day had ended on a comfortable note. At meals, he liked salty pickled foods. The salty taste made the meal feel more complete. It reminded him of family dinners from his childhood. And on weekends, especially when the family gathered, he loved dishes made from organ meats. Liver. Old-style sausages. Foods his father used to say were good for strength. Robert never thought these habits were a problem. They felt familiar. Normal. Just like the lives of so many people around him. If someone had told him those foods could be dangerous, he probably would have smiled. He did not drink hard liquor. He did not eat recklessly. And his father had eaten that way his entire life. That is how habits quietly take hold. They do not cause pain right away. They do not feel dangerous. They simply remain there, day after day. Robert never felt his blood slowly growing thicker. He did not feel the pressure building inside his blood vessels. He could not see cholesterol silently clinging to the vessel walls. Because nothing hurt. And when nothing hurts, it is easy to believe everything is fine. The human body is patient. It adapts. It endures. Until it can no longer endure. That winter morning was when Robert's body finally spoke up. When he woke up in the hospital, one side of his body could not move. His speech was slow and distorted. He saw fear in his wife's eyes. And for the first time in his life, he was truly afraid. During the days of rehabilitation, when everything became quieter, Robert kept asking himself one question. What did I do wrong? The doctors did not blame him. They did not judge him. They explained things gently. They said that as people grow older, alcohol can thicken the blood faster than we realize. Thicker blood flows more slowly. And slow-moving blood is much more likely to form clots. They said that overly salty foods cause the body to retain more sodium. Sodium raises blood pressure and places constant stress on the vessel walls. Over time, blood vessels become stiff and more fragile. They said that animal organ meats contain high levels of bad cholesterol. When eaten frequently, cholesterol builds up and gradually narrows the path for blood flow. All it takes is a small clot to block the flow of blood to the brain. Nothing happens in just one day. Not one beer. Not one meal. But years of repeating the same familiar choices. When Robert heard this, he did not feel guilty. He simply felt that he finally understood. He realized that he had been living in the body of a 68-year-old as if he were still 40. He had forgotten that time does not only change hair and skin, but also the way the body reacts to what we put into it. Robert's recovery was very slow. There were days when he felt discouraged. But that same period forced him to listen to his body more closely than ever before. He did not give up everything he once enjoyed. He simply learned to use them differently. Less often. More carefully. And no longer as something to take for granted every day. After things settled, Robert stopped asking himself where he had gone wrong. He began asking a different, more practical question. At this age, what does my body need in order to continue living in peace? The doctors told him something very simple, without medical jargon, that once people pass 50, especially after 60, blood no longer flows as smoothly as it once did. Blood vessel walls are no longer soft. The heart has to work harder. And with just a few familiar habits carried on for too long, the blood can slowly become thicker without us ever realizing it. Alcohol, even just a few beers a day, is no longer harmless like it was in youth. It thickens the blood, forces the heart to pump harder, and damages blood vessels in a very gradual way. So gradual that people get used to it. Overly salty foods do the same. Salt causes the body to retain water and sodium, pushing blood pressure higher than it needs to be. That pressure presses against the vessel walls every single day, making them stiffer and less elastic over time. And when blood vessels lose flexibility, even a small clot can be enough to cause a blockage. As for animal organ meats, once considered nourishing, they contain more bad cholesterol than an aging body can handle. Cholesterol does not cause pain. It quietly sticks to vessel walls, narrowing the path blood must travel each day. The doctors did not tell Robert he had to give everything up completely. They said something very realistic instead. At this age, what matters is not restriction, but frequency and amount. Robert began to understand that the problem was not one meal, but how many times that meal repeated each week. Not one beer, but whether it had become a nightly habit. He learned to treat foods he once ate every day as things meant to appear only occasionally. He ate more slowly. He drank less. And he listened to his body more carefully. Perhaps that is the most important lesson from this story. Not to live more harshly, but to live in a way that fits the age we are in. Robert was lucky. His fall was painful enough to make him stop, but not so late that he could not stand again. Not everyone gets that chance. Many people continue living as they always have, eating the same way, holding on to old habits, believing that if nothing hurts today, tomorrow will be fine as well. Until the body is forced to speak in the strongest way possible. This story is not meant to make you afraid every time you look at your meals. It is simply meant to offer a gentle reminder that the body after 50 is no longer the same as the body at 20 or 30. What once fit may no longer fit. What once seemed harmless can become a burden if it goes on too long. If, as you listen, you suddenly think of a familiar habit of your own, take it as a gentle nudge, not a warning. Just slow down a little. Cut back a little. And let your body breathe more easily. And if you know someone over 50, a friend, a family member, or someone you care about, who might see themselves in Robert's story, sharing this video may be a small act, but a meaningful one. Sometimes, what saves a person is not a complicated method, but a timely moment of reflection. Our bodies speak to us every day. I hope we choose to listen while that voice is still soft enough to whisper, before it is forced to shout through a fall.